know that this is about the guitar, and we're so lucky to be able to bring importance, various periods of time, certain instruments were featured during the 1940s, 30s, the clarinet, Benny Goodman, and many years ago before that, there was the banjo, lead instruments I'm talking about. And then during the bebop period, there was the alto sax and also the tenor sax, which came, I think, after. But anyway, can you tell us something about the music, the importance of the guitar?
I can tell you about the importance of this guitar. Because you cover the regular jazz guitar pretty well. I heard you last week.
Oh yeah.
But this guitar came out in the 30s in France when Django Reinhardt and the fellas were learning to play American jazz.
Mm-hmm.
But as you said last week, like with the guitar banjo, it'd get drowned out. So they came up with the guitar banjo so they could hear it.
Oh.
Well, they came up with this, the gypsy style guitar, which was loud and it could cut through. It barks a lot. And Django Reinhardt, and it was an outgrowth of the banjo.
Okay.
And they had initially put a resonator in it. And you mentioned dobro. They put resonators on those. And of course, the resonator was in the banjo. So it was an outgrowth of the banjo, and they intentionally gave it a brittle sound. And so now they're becoming popular again, but they were popular in the 30s and 40s. Selmer and McAfee were the people that made them in the 30s and 40s, and they're becoming popular worldwide again now.
Yeah, when you said Selmer, I'm thinking of a tenor sax.
Yeah, Selmer is Selmer.
Okay.
They're French music instrument makers.
Nice.
But that's what the deal is with this guitar in the history of things, and I think they're pretty cool. They're a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, sound good.
They're a lot of fun to play. And I play it. Well, I play that style of stuff on it.
As you all know, John Miller is one of the most talented guitarists here in Springville, in the entire area. And he plays with a group called the Romaniacs, yes. And they play jazz, old style, period type music. Mainly Dixieland, Django Reinhardt.
Well, it started in New Orleans, right?
Okay,
And it had all these influences.
Okay.
It actually had an Irish influence and an African influence, and then a Caribbean influence.
Right.
And then it developed from there. Dixieland was one of the earliest forms, but Dixieland kind of stayed New Orleans' own music, didn't it? You know what I mean? New Orleans always claims that.
Oh yeah.
The rest of the stuff kind of grew out of that. And of course, if you ask David Hoffman, he would definitely say that Louis Armstrong was the guy.
Yeah.
And I would not differ with him. I mean, he was instrumental in the development of jazz as we kind of know it nowadays.
That's interesting stuff. Well, that's what this whole taping is about, the guitar and its place.
Guitars have been there. Charlie Christian was the first guy to play lead on the guitar because they came out with electrified guitars.
I see.
Before that, you couldn't play a solo on the guitar because it would get drowned out by all the other instruments.
I see.
So Charlie Christian pretty much came up with it.
Okay.
He was the guy that first turned it into a lead instrument.
Right. What about Django Reinhardt? Talk to him. to me about him.
Well, he was a gypsy, and he was influenced by traditional European music, you know, classical type stuff and everything, but gypsies roamed around in caravans, and they had to have instruments that were portable. They couldn't be carrying pianos around, because they lived in wagons and had campfires. So they played violins, guitars, banjos, and then they were introduced to the Italian instrument, the accordion. They ran into that in France.
Oh yeah, another lead instrument.
And of course, an accordion was a piano you strapped around your neck.
Yeah.
You know?
That's all it was.
And yeah. And so that formed a whole style of music based on old American jazz. Because the American jazz people were over making money getting gigs in France when they couldn't work here for various reasons. And there was just no work here. But there was in France. And so that gypsy style of music developed with the gypsy influence, the traditional European influence, you know, Bach and those guys. I mean, that's in that music somewhere. You hear it. And that's the basis of what we hear in our ears now anyhow. And so then the guitar became prominent with Charlie Christian in this country and everybody that's come since, and then Django Reinhardt in Europe. And now everybody plays guitar, but it's a great instrument because only keyboards and guitars and banjos and mandolins, that's the only instruments you play chords on most of the time, right?
Right.
That's the only instruments that are basically a complete entourage. You can sit out by yourself and play a lot of things on guitar and have a whole little band right there on your guitar or a piano.
Yeah.
But it's much harder to do on a bass or on a clarinet because you don't get to hear the chords behind it. So that's what's so cool about our instrument. It's a complete band in itself. If you're good. You spend your life trying to be good.
Do it, right. Well, speaking of trying to do it, why don't we play Sunnyside at the Street?
Let's do that.
Yeah, it's a good tune.
What do you want? Okay.
Page is here tonight. I don't know what part of the building she's in, but if I talk loud enough, she'll hear me. Oh, yes. Here she is, mask and all.
Mask and all.
We like to see your face. Too bad about this COVID stuff. Judy Page. Judy Page. She's here to help us.
So I thought maybe you'd let me sing a song or one.
Of course. We might.
Okay. How about you'd be so nice to come home to?
Good.
Okay.
One, two, 3, 4.
You'd be so nice to come home to. You'd be so nice by the fire, while the birds on high sing a lullaby. It'd be all that I would desire. Hey, under stars, chilled by the winter, under the moon shining so bright. You'd be so nice. You'd be paradise to come home to.
As many as you like.
It's always fun when you sing.
How about, I said, I'm glad there's you.
Okay, all right.
Do you have
She
something
owns
else
these
you wanna?
tunes, you know, when she sings them.
Yeah, she
She
owns
owns them.
Thank you, guys. Oh, I can't read your writing.
Oh, let's do it. I'm glad
there is you. Okay,
Sure.
okay.
All right.
Chris, why don't you bring the drum in on, not on this one, when we...
Is that okay?
In this world, I'm an ordinary people. I love to live. I love to live with you beside me. This road so new, I'll muddle through with you till guide me. I'm in this world where many, many played love and hardly stay in love. I'm so glad there is you. Oh, big heaven, I'm glad there is you. I love to live with you beside me. Oh, this road so new, I'll muddle through with you till guide me. And in this world where many, many bled love and hardly stay in love, I'm so glad there is you. More than ever, I'm so glad there is you. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Well, thank you so much.
Pretty.
Fine. Oh, I got the mask on bold in my hand.
Well, they don't. Well, John, why don't we play one with Chris? Chris happened to, he's a drummer, conga drummer. He strolled in tonight because he played with me on the last session. And what's nice about music, not only does it creates friendships, you know. Friendships within friendships, those who have different tastes in music. All music is good. During the Great Depression, I think that music really helped us get over that time, especially in a psychological sense. And that's kind of what we're going through right now.
It's pretty therapeutic.
Therapeutic, thank you. So, John, what do you think we could play with Chris?
You pick.
Oh, man, let's see. Hey, you remember we did Tenderly, and we did it kind of...
Sure.
Okay? We'll do Tenderly for you. I put my mask on. could stay here all night, you know. John, you know, I did mention Django Reinhardt. Oh, that was Chris. Chris, what's your last name again?
DiPiazza.
DiPiazza.
Just say Chris is good.
Oh, okay. That's Chris on the congas. John, I had mentioned before, Django Reinhardt. Did we have any American guitars that were kind of stood out in Dixie, not Dixieland, but gypsy music?
There are now.
There are now.
Nowadays there is, because it's popular here, but it never was popular here. You know, he came over and tried and played with Duke Ellington, and it was a dismal failure. So he got all paranoid and ran back to France. Didn't work out with Duke.
Okay. What about John Picciarelli, or his father, Bucky?
Yeah, Bucky?
Yeah.
Another one of the great traditional jazz guitars, you know. We don't really have. There's been a few. There are some now. Yes, a lot of them are people who have moved here for financial reasons to make money.
There's a guy who plays all styles of guitar by the name of John Jorgensen, who's done real well with gypsy guitar, but he also does a lot of country and a lot of rock, a lot of things like that. He's one of the few that plays all the genres.
I see. Wow, what an instrument.
In the big cities, there's a lot of gypsy groups, you know, and some of them are very popular.
Who would you say? I don't like people to ask the question, who's the best guitarist, or who's the top guitarist ever? I don't like those kinds of questions. But for you, who really stands out? I mean, if you had to emulate or to play like, who would that be?
It's hard to say, but,
Yeah.
but the one that grabs my heart is Wes.
Oh, it's Wes Montgomery.
Yeah, he grabs my heart the most. You know, it's like there was not an instrument between his soul and the fingers. It's like the instrument wasn't even there. It just came out of his fingers.
Wow. Is that why, will that be the reason he plays without a pick?
I have no idea.
It does sound like it's more alive, you know.
I heard that he started doing that at home because he had little kids and he didn't want to wake them up when he was practicing, so he played quietly.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
That sounds.
that's what I heard. Now, it could have been just an urban legend.
You know, I would love for, I'm sure that in jazz colleges, music, universities, they have music programs now. All of them have guitar departments, entire, like Tote from Chicago, and
They do now.
Yeah, they
didn't
do
used
now.
to. 60s, 70s, there wasn't much jazz guitar in colleges.
Okay.
Maybe out east if you went to Berkeley or somewhere. That was about it.
That's about it, huh?
Play.
So,
Play.
okay. Why don't we play another one? Okay, do we have time for another tune? All right, we'll play
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Thank you, Judy.
You.
We have a lot of musicians in this city, you know. Gary Atkinson, you know, bass, Mike Nellis, you know, Steve Dagenforth, and I mean, great musicians. There's this kid over in Mohammed Gary, you know, over in Bloomington. He plays jazz guitar, plays West style. But anyway, do we have time to go into this? Because I will start talking. All right. Well, we'd like to thank you all, and definitely thanks to the museum, the Riverfront Museum, under the leadership of John Morris and all of the other wonderful people that are working, you know, over there. And they gave us this opportunity, so let's take it. Maybe we can do something like this again or on a regular basis. That would be very nice. Yeah. John Miller, ladies and gentlemen, on guitar. John Miller. Really lucky to have him here. And Joy Kessler on camera. And, and Judy Page, who is our guest vocalist always. She sings around town and other places. I mean, well, I just can't talk about all the things she has contributed to the field of music, but she is definitely a big star. So my name is Preston Jackson, and thank you all very much.